10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Well, the cost of just about everything, it seems, continues to climb, and that includes what you'll be paying for water in Billings. Tonight, Billings City Council took up a proposal to increase fixed monthly minimum charges as well as to volume charges for water and wastewater. After much discussion, council members voted on a tier rate option for residential customers. They will set your rate depending on how much water you use. Those using less water will pay a lower rate for the first 10,000 gallons. The city says the rate increases are needed to cover the increasing cost of service and to provide for future improvements. The average bill would jump from just under $63 a month this year to around $66 next year. Well, a head-on collision on Zimmerman Trail this morning sent 3 people to the hospital and closed that road for most of the day. Police said on social media that a 35-year-old man was driving a pickup truck south on Zimmerman when it collided head-on with a northbound passenger car driven by a 68-year-old man with a 64-year-old woman passenger. The crash sent the truck over a guardrail, plunging down the rims hundreds of feet before coming to rest at the bottom. The driver of the pickup was ejected from the vehicle, and all 3 people involved in that accident were injured and taken to the hospital. The extent of the injuries unknown at this time. Construction cones have made their annual return for summer in Billings with a number of projects in the works. One involves converting North 29th Street and North 30th Street from one-ways to two-way traffic. They're hoping to finish that project by the first week of July. The city's also set to begin more construction tomorrow, which will include Rimrock Road from 27th Street to Virginia. This area of Rimrock will be closed for at least the next 2 weeks. Project will be to replace a main water line in that area. The next large construction project that will impede traffic is the widening of 32nd Street, which will begin soon and last all summer long. There's an active investigation into the assault of a Northern Cheyenne councilwoman. The family took to social media, calling that attack brutal and calling for action. Meanwhile, Billings police say they're investigating this assault. Here's Q2's Andrea Lutz with more.
Silver Little Eagle is just 23 years old. She is the youngest woman serving on the Northern Cheyenne Council. Billings police say the attack happened on May 16th, but wouldn't comment on the specifics of what took place. The assault, though, is gaining traction on social media because of a GoFundMe account that's gathered over $23,000 in donations as of Monday afternoon. Well, according to information on that account written by the family, Silver was brutally attacked and left for dead, suffering severe physical injuries as well as the theft of her vehicle and personal belongings. Meanwhile, Sergeant Shane Winden says Little Eagle suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Her family says online that the attack was unprovoked and spurred by jealousy and hate. And according to coverage by Western Native Voice, Silver was raised by her grandmother, who also served on council, and she went to Dartmouth on a Gates scholarship. Back in November of 2020, the Northern Cheyenne tribe made history by electing all women for its open tribal council seats. Silver was elected to fill the Lame Deer seat. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Andrea also reached out to the family again this afternoon, but her calls were not immediately returned. A new law from the recent legislative session effectively removes the attendance requirements for a child to take part in sports or other extracurricular activities. MTN's John Riley shows us some of the impacts this new law will have.
On April 28th, Governor Greg Gianforte signed Senate Bill 157 into law, which prohibits school districts from excluding private and homeschool students from public school extracurriculars, such as sports or theater. For non-public school students, the law opens up more opportunities while continuing to allow them to seek their choice of education.
I feel like it does create a lot of opportunities for homeschoolers and private schoolers to continue their athletic interests and stuff.
Mia Melton has been attending St. Andrew's School since kindergarten. She's also a standout athlete, currently playing Arsenal soccer, the most competitive program for her age. Melton loves attending the private Catholic school, but had planned to transfer to Helena or Capitol High in order to play for one of their teams. Senate Bill 157 means she doesn't have to choose anymore and can state the school she wants to attend.
I think working together collaboratively for these students in this particular town and in this state, I think is just a great opportunity for all of us.
The bill does not guarantee a spot for private and homeschool kids in any given program. If there are tryouts, they'll need to compete and earn their spot.
It was written in the bill is that these kids will have to meet the same standards that all of our other athletes meet. Our athletes are held to a high accountability for their academics.
Critics of the new law are concerned it will mean fewer spots for kids who are attending the schools, and that schools may lose out on thousands of dollars in funding because the student isn't attending there.
I think the economic impact is still unknown. As we think about the programs are established, right? So coaching, transportation, pieces like that are established. We certainly have programs that are no-cut sports, and so I don't think we're talking about the volume of students that would cause additional coaching or, an additional bus or something like that.
While the law's text is pretty cut and dry, school districts say there's a lot of conversations that will need to happen over the next few months. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
We want to turn to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh now. The weather has been changing quite a bit. There's change in the scenery too, and there's some viewer pictures to show what we mean.
All kinds of weather across the region from the weekend. Thanks to Carol for sharing this picture. Up to 11 inches of snow. We saw more in some of the mountains over the weekend as well. Well, it added to the snowpack. It also added to the areas where we're seeing a lot more of the snow melting. And Cecilia, thanks for this picture. As we take a look around the Little Bighorn, you see the river level starting to rise there. That's going to be part of the forecast here as we get into the next few days, especially as we get into some warmer conditions. But the wind highlighted the weather throughout the day today. The green shaded areas over 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Into the red shaded areas, those were wind gusts that were topping 60 miles an hour. Forecast is coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Ed. Today, President Biden received a briefing from officials at the Federal Emergency Management Administration, or FEMA, on the upcoming hurricane season. Now, his visit comes as Congress is likely to miss a couple of legislative deadlines over the next few days on two of the president's top issues. Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
President Biden visited FEMA headquarters the same day the White House announced he will direct $1 billion to states, communities, and tribal governments for disaster preparation.
We're going to spare no expense, no effort to keep Americans safe and respond to crises when they arise.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says it's expecting an above-normal hurricane season this year, with a likely range of 13 to 20 named storms.
We're going to be prepared. We have to be ready.
This week, President Biden is also facing self-imposed deadlines on two key issues: infrastructure and police reform.
Mr. President!
The president will meet privately with members of George Floyd's family at the White House Tuesday, marking the one-year anniversary of his killing. Congress is not likely to meet the president's calls to reach a deal by Tuesday on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
We're making good progress, hopeful progress, but we still have a lot of work to do.
President Biden also wants to see significant progress on his American Jobs Plan by Memorial Day. Last week, the president gave Republicans a counteroffer, slashing his infrastructure plan from $2.3 to $1.7 trillion.
The ball is in their court. We are awaiting their counterproposal. We would welcome that.
We've been working with the president. We're not there yet.
Senate Republicans say the president's new proposal is still well above what they believe Congress can pass with bipartisan support, though talks with the administration continue. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Today, the president signed the Alaska Tourism Restoration Act into law, which will temporarily allow cruise ships to bypass Canada on their way to the state. Canada banned cruise ships until 2022 because of the pandemic. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, a local nonprofit gearing up for a big event focused on providing for the less fortunate in our community. We'll have details on that. And a little later in sports, throwing for titles, we'll meet one Philly from Colstrip who's aiming for not one, but two state championships.